Music. Music. Hi, I'm actually calling from Dallas, Texas. GG, oh wow, Dallas. Okay. So what's the story? Right, so here's the deal. This whole thing is a bit of a mystery to me even now. I didn't fully understand it at first. I made contact with a friend, Raki, and I've been trying to research it because there have already been a lot of black magic things that happened at my house before. By God, everything broke and all that. But this case was different. A little background first. My friend, she's not Muslim. Actually, she doesn't really believe in anything. She's into crystals, astrology kind of stuff. She's not Pakistani, not Muslim. In fact, she's American, half Chinese. At the time, she was living in the US, and I was in Pakistan. One day she called me and then texted, "Can you help me? Can you translate something?" She sent me a piece of writing and thought it might be Urdu. I tried to read it, it wasn't Urdu. I told her, "This isn't Urdu," and she said, "Then what is it?" So I gave a little background. She didn't have any Pakistani, Muslim, or Indian friends at the time. Basically, most of her friends were Americans in the black community where she lived. So she was like, "I don't know who this is from." I told her I couldn't read it either, so she showed it to my father. He thought it looked like Arabic. I asked one of my Arabic friends to check it, but she didn't have Google Translate or it wasn't working, so she sent it to someone who knew classical Arabic. That person told us, "Yes, it's Arabic, but not modern Arabic. It's very, very old classical Arabic." They said it sounded like the kind of Arabic people used to speak centuries ago. At first, the messages were small, harmless things. Then someone started telling her, "Become a Muslim." She ignored it, thought it was some crazy person. Slowly it got creepier. The person texting started knowing details, what time she'd be home, what she was wearing, what she was doing at the office. It was like mild-threatening behavior at first. She complained to her manager because she thought she was being stalked. She went to the police told her they couldn't do anything unless there was a direct threat. They wouldn't help get the number. So she left it for a while, but the stranger kept knowing every small thing about her. One morning, small example, she was in a bathroom before work and a lock of her hair, a dread, fell out. She tossed it in a drawer and went to work. The person texting kept telling her, "Cut your hair, become Muslim, your dreadlocks are falling because of God's will." He kept saying, "See, this is happening because Allah willed it," as if he was explaining why her hair was falling out. That alone freaked her out. How did he know she was alone in the bathroom? How did he know a dreadlock fell into a drawer? Her friends came over to stay with her for a month to try to find hidden cameras or anything suspicious. They used bug detectors. They checked every light, every corner. They were sure someone had planted a camera. But they found nothing. She got more and more scared. I told her, "Just avoid it, don't respond, block the number," but she wanted to find out who it was. The messages escalated. At one point the sender started saying, "I am not human, I am a jinn." I laughed at it. At first I've heard all the jinn stories about possession, this and that, but I'd never heard of a jinn actually texting someone. I made a joke about it with her, but it scared her a lot. She told me the entity said things like, "I've been protecting you from the devil for years. Don't you remember many moons ago the English it used was odd, old-fashioned, like centuries-old phrasing, 'I have been protecting you from the devil,' and then it would say strange things about preying on her love, coming into her abode as an angel." She remembered an incident a few months earlier when she was late coming home from work. She loves cats, and a cat was sitting in the middle of the road. She slowed down, opened her car door, and the cat came and sat inside the car. She jokingly called the cat an angel. Then later, when the sender messaged, it wrote, "You thought of me as an angel." That little interaction with the cat, which was an ordinary, personal incident, suddenly got referenced by this thing. That freaked her out even more. The entity threatened, "If you don't submit, I will make everyone around you sick." Gradually, her best friend, who was also her manager, became ill. Despite all this, she refused to cut her hair. She had worked so hard to grow those beautiful dreadlocks. But the threats and the knowledge of private things made her paranoid. She stopped talking to most people. For about a year, she isolated herself. She stopped talking to me too. I was her best friend, and she didn't speak to anyone for about a year. She changed cities, changed states, changed jobs, everything trying to escape. A year later, she called me again and said, "I moved again, but the problems didn't stop." She had a new boyfriend where she moved. After they started living together, things in the house began to disappear. Sometimes her passport would go missing from her safe. Other times, small things would vanish. The combination lock on her safe, only she knew the combination, would sometimes be opened when she swore no one else knew it. Once she found a small burned piece of paper that said, "I am the jinn and I am here." She sent me photos and asked, What is this? Who is this? I told her honestly I didn't know. At one point, out of fear, she and her boyfriend took Shahada. They converted to Islam and they had a nikah. She cut her dreadlocks, removed all the colored locks, and tried to change her lifestyle. She said after that the situation calmed down a little. The person who was texting even apparently converted. They said he became Muslim too and then stopped. The boy was half Russian, half Cuban. He also converted and the messages stopped for a bit. She said she doesn't practice in a strict way. She's not deeply religious, but she hoped that by converting and changing her life, the whole thing would end. When I first saw the Arabic messages, I couldn't understand them. I have a friend who's studying to be an alim and Islamic scholar, and I had to send the screenshots to him so he could break down the classical Arabic and explain what it was saying. That helped to some extent. Now, as for explanations, there are several possibilities. One is, yes, it could be jinn communicating through messages. Another is it could be a human stalker, someone very close, maybe a friend, maybe a relative, someone who knows intimate details of her life. Police investigations aside, a third possibility is mental illness, severe paranoia or schizotypal behavior, or a dissociative condition where she might be misplacing things herself and attributing them to someone else. There are historical cases of people who do similar things to themselves without realizing. But there are parts that are hard to explain away. She changed cities, changed phones, changed numbers, moved states, and yet the incidents continued. Her boyfriend, who later became her husband, woke up hearing laughter in the room. Sometimes while he was awake playing video games, he'd hear whispering, breathing sounds, giggling so close it felt like someone was standing right next to him. That's not easy to explain if it's just one stalker or a single person playing games. Also, I've heard from older scholars and teachers that jinns, depending on their region and nature, behave differently. When I was younger, a respected scholar told me a story about older times. They used to suggest that the jinn of some regions are capable of using certain forms of technology. One of my professors once hypothesized that if someone like Ibn Taymiyyah's era had devices like a mobile phone, people back then might have been using tools unseen by us. The idea was that an intelligence we can't see might be capable of things we don't expect, including some type of communication we would call texting. That's a theory some traditional scholars have discussed. Another angle, my own family has a history with black magic. We used to live in Africa, and someone did black magic against my father. We had to move to Pakistan. My father had 2 episodes where he clinically died. The doctors had to revive him. My little brother also had 2 similar episodes at the hospital. For years after that, our family dealt with strange phenomena. Back then, I didn't even know what Ruqya, Islamic spiritual healing, was, and I started exploring Islam and looking into how Ruqya is applied. Studying that and seeing how spiritual things can affect people shifted my perspective. I'm more open now to spiritual explanations than I was when I was younger. When my friend went through these incidents, I thought the normal rational options, stalker, mental illness, or someone playing a long con. But when things started happening in our house, like when my mom was told the story, and then at our place several fluorescent tube lights exploded one after the other, that was strange. It wasn't just one bulb failing, one would blow, then another, glass everywhere. My mother made us promise not to tell her too much, and she just said, "Don't tell me, whatever this is, don't tell me." That reaction, and the cluster of incidents, made the whole thing feel real and frightening. People ask me, could someone be faking the screenshots? Could the jinn have gotten offended and signed out of Facebook? I joke sometimes, and maybe the jinn got mad and signed out. But seriously, I've tried to strip away possibilities. One approach is to set the jinn idea aside and look at human explanations. Another is to take the spiritual explanation seriously. Both are possible. It's hard to choose one with confidence. There were also regional differences in how jinns are said to act. When I was in Africa, the cases were very different compared to Pakistan. There, jinns used to manifest with very different noises, knocks, scratches on walls, a whole other set of behaviors. I've been told by people who have worked on these cases for years that you have to consider the jinn's origin or personality. Some are playful, some are malicious. Some behave more like they're in the wall, knocking, some whisper in ears, some make the lights flicker, some send you messages in old languages. If you look at it from that angle, you can fit some pieces in, but still it's a lot to process. So what's the current situation with my friend? Right now, she feels it a little bit sometimes, but she mostly ignores it. She's very busy with work and tries to stay out of the house as much as possible. There hasn't been a direct, explicit threat recently. After they converted and got married, the intensity reduced. She still gets minor things occasionally, odd noises or the sensation of being watched, but nothing like before. If someone asks me, what should she do? I'd say keep your life simple, invite knowledgeable people in Imam or someone trained in Ruqyah to check things out as she wants, and make sure she's safe physically first. Changing her social circles, moving away, and taking safeguards was the right move. If it were me, I'd try to combine both approaches, practical security measures plus a spiritual remedy that brings peace. I still have screenshots and some of the Arabic messages, but honestly, I can't access all of them now because I lost access to that social media account when I changed phones. If I could, I'd show you. But I did send them to a friend who knows classical Arabic to break it down. In the end, I'll say this: I used to be a psychology student and a skeptic. For a long time, I didn't believe in this stuff. After everything my family went through and after hearing so many of these survivor stories, my mind changed. I don't fully understand it, I probably never will it, but I've learned to keep an open mind and to try practical steps first, while respecting people's spiritual beliefs. For my friend, the combination of changing everything in her life and taking the spiritual step to convert seemed to calm things down. Whether it was the conversion, the marriage, cutting her hair, or just time, I don't know, but she's doing better now. Music.